to, this is the 1881. This is the Mint State 65 from ICG, San Francisco Minted Morgan Silver Dollar. And it does come along with the wooden presentation box.
Well, here's the interesting thing. Same guy had an original bag of 81Ss and had also been putting away Mint State 65s. Now, you have to understand, certified Mint State 65s, I've never done a certified Mint State 65 Morgan 1881 original Morgan Silver Dollar at $179. I don't think I've ever done one for less than $299 to be able to get this in Mint State 65. That original bag, coins that are Mint State 62, 63, maybe even 64, but Mint State 65 is an entirely different grade. And these coins were independently collected outside of that bag. So the guy had the bag, the original sealed bag, okay? And then he had also individually collected these coins over the course of the years. So I was able to get actually a couple of hundred coins, which is more of these that I've seen in one place in, I don't know, probably 20 years that I've been able to do this. Comes with the red oak presentation box, certified, and you can see the incredible deepness of the strike, the proof-like surfaces that are on these coins that you're going to see right here in the Mint State 65. So the incredible part about this is the fact that it's certified Mint State 65. It is so phenomenally rare. But even more importantly, and once again I attribute this completely, totally, 100% to the palladium, is the price point of $179.95. $179.95 for a Mint State 65 certified Morgan. Now, when you talk about certification, people ask, what is certification? What we've done in the coin industry for years and years and years, we've used third-party independent services. They don't buy or sell or trade coins. You send them in, and they certify the coins based on the grade. And this right here, you can see the difference. See how the cheek kind of stands out?
Yes.
The key to a Mint State 65 is what we call a puffy cheek.
Okay.
So in other words, it's fully struck, because it's not just that it doesn't have, you know, bag marks or fewer bag marks or that, but it has to be fully struck as well. And when you do that, you get where Lady Liberty, it looks like her cheek kind of pops off the coin.
Yeah.
That full round. Well, there it is. There's a great shot of it. Puffy cheek. Now, people are saying, but there's some marks on it. Those are bag marks. They're on every Morgan Silver Dollar.
Oh.
So if you have people say, well, how about a Mint State 70 Morgan Silver Dollar? Doesn't exist in any one of the 4 grading companies. There are a few Mint State 69s. I had one on this show about 3 years ago that I ran across. I think we put it on the air for $110,000, as I recall, for the Mint State 69. We've sold some Mint State 68s here. I think they're might be on hsn.com. Mint State 68s are $8,000 maybe, something like that.
Wow.
So yeah, and the Mint State 67s are $2,000 or $3,000. So to be able to get Mint State 65 at $179, like I said, I think the lowest price I've ever done on this before Mint State 65 certified, look at that coin right there, has been like $299. So it's not only availability, but it's the fact that the price on this at $179.95 is just truly spectacular.
I mean, this is a price that you just don't see. This is a price that we've never
and a grade we don't see very often.
For sure. Mint State 65 on an 1881 San Francisco minted Morgan Silver Dollar. This is available on 4Flex if you would like to use FlexPay. If you want to collect this one, I would say take advantage of what's going on in the coin market and get this now. It's 621732. I want to share with you what we've got coming up, and this is new.